Hello, this is Dax from doxxz TV, and today we are taking a look at the Affliction Warlock. The talents that I have chosen are very specific to leveling. Other people might have other choices, but I'm going to go through them and why I chose them. Wraith and Agony, or Writhe and Agony rather. I choose this one because I like that the Agony damage ramps up now twice as high, and it's more fluid to watch, and it gives you more chances to add more targets. More targets of more damage equal a lot more damage. Drained Souls increase its damage over time, but you don't drain as much as you use Agony, so you want to make sure you get Agony on multiple targets. So this one ultimately would be better because it ramps up a lot higher. With Haunt, it still has a cooldown on it, and it doesn't feel as powering as it did before. So again, I think Agony on more targets with higher damage is going to be ultimately better. This one is a toss-up for me. I always like the idea of a mana tap having damage increase for 20 seconds of use. It might be something that I'll play with in live when I have more add-ons to keep track of all my things. But right now, Absolute Corruption seems pretty decent. It does 25% increased damage and it lasts longer in PvP, but it's permanent on targets in PvE right now as we're leveling, so that's just one less thing we have to watch when we're DPSing. And it helps when you have to seed Corruption a group of mobs, because then the corruption lasts forever instead of getting popped off. Contagion, Unstable Affliction also increases all damage you deal to the targets by 15%. I find that one a little more useful in a PvP setting, because you get to toss around more Unstable Afflictions and you don't have to watch mana tap as much. So that one roughly more PvP style, more arena-ish. The next one, Demon Skin, Mortal Coil, Howl, Terror. This one's not any different than before, neither is Mortal Coil, but I never really liked this one as much. With a 40-second cooldown, it doesn't really do all targets anymore, and it just doesn't have the same effect as before. Mortal Coil heals you when you shoot a target away from you, but when we're leveling right now, I feel like the Demon Skin will be better. It increases your healing done over time, and it's passive and it stays on you the whole time. So that one's a little more beneficial right now. It helps now, it helps later. And this one for now will be good. I use Mortal Coil on PvP just because you want to get the targets off of you. So that one's not too terrible. Soul Harvest, they had changed recently with the patch. Now increases your damage and your pet's damage by 20%, lasts for 10 seconds. So it's kind of like we're getting Dark Soul back, kind of, but not as good as it was before. We don't get haste or mastery or whatever, we just get flat damage increase. Time does increase longer if you have Affliction added, or Agony on targets. So it's good to spread your Agony around. That's why we chose Writhe and Agony before. It helps to get that all around, so then that's not a bad choice to have. Having Seed of Corruption now, consume a Soul Shard, and it increases the amount. It's not that terribly important. I don't find that. I don't like Seed of Corruption now, and I'll never find a use for this talent. Siphon Life, this one's pretty good. It increases more damage, more chances to heal you over time. I've been playing around with Soul Harvest and Siphon Life in PvP in the arena, and I'm not sure exactly which one I like better. But right now, I find that the Soul Harvest is just good, because if you got multiple targets when you're leveling, then you can use your Agony on all the targets, pop your Soul Harvest, and you get a lot more damage done. And it helps burn shit down. The next tier is pretty much up to you. Demonic Circle, I'm kind of pissed off they took away from us, but it's a talent. But I like having Dark Pact for that increased shield that'll protect you in PvP. So again, Burning Rush, sorry. Demonic Circle, sorry. Burning Rush more in a raid, I suppose, in your PvE, having the extra movement ability. But Dark Pact right now seems overpowered, so we're gonna go with that one. Pets, this one's a little bit of a toss-up. I like I liked Sacrifice before. I'm not sure I like it now. If you got the abilities of your pets again, then this one would ultimately be better. That shadow damage increase is pretty good. It doesn't do too much damage before. It doesn't increase your mastery or haste or anything like that like it used to, but if this one allowed you to use your abilities of your demons, I would probably still take more of Sacrifice because I just like the extra output damage. And I like the fact that I can interrupt stuff too, but since I took that away, I need to interrupt for stuff, so we go towards the Grimoire of Supremacy, which allows you to gain your abilities of your demons and such, so that you can use your Doom Guard to interrupt your Inferno to tank a bunch of adds. Right now I use the Inferno to tank PvE adds when I'm leveling, but in PvE I like having the big honkin' Doom Guard out there that can interrupt and stuff. Service I have to play around with to find out if the damage is all that different. I mean, it's 25 seconds of a second demon that does do 100% increased damage, but it may or may not be that beneficial in the long run. That one might be a toss-up for me. It might be what we go towards in PvE or PvP in the arena. So I mean, it might be something that we'll have to do some more testing on to find out if it's actually worth having. A lot of people use it in Mist and WoD to have that extra beast. A lot of demonology did it. I noticed a couple people used it in PvP at the latter part of this season, but it just all depends if it's worth it. It might be, because Supremacy doesn't increase damage of your pets anymore, so that one may or may not be the best talent, and I'm just not picking it. The last set of talents, we have Soul Effigy, we have Phantom Singularity, and we have Soul Conduit. This one's worthless. We can just toss that one out. The next one is your Phantom Singularity. It does all targets around you gets consumed with damage, and it pulls health away from them, and it heals you also. So for an AoE setting, an AoE fight in, say, a raid, that one's going to be ultimately your best bet. But when you're targeting, or you're leveling, or you're doing PvP, this one's going to be ultimately awesome. It creates a Soul Effigy bound to the target, which is attackable only by you. 40% of all your damage taken by the effigy is duplicated on the original target, and it lasts up to 10 minutes. What that means is you get a second target to attack on your dummy. Here, let me just pop it up. Actually, it doesn't work too well on the dummies. You'll see it in the video later when we're fighting Jaggernoth as our class weapon. But what it's an extra ad that pops up, and you have to multi-dot both sides. You get to multi-dot your one target, you multi-dot the second target, and then it just increases the damage done. So when you pop your abilities such as Reap Souls and your Soul Harvest, all that damage that you're multi-dotting will double reflect onto the boss. So ultimately it's just a Christ amount of damage just going straight to the boss, and there's nothing that he can do about it. So I have my buttons set up. It's very similar. There's not a whole lot of buttons left after everything they took out from WoD to now, but as far as using Unstable Affliction, you gotta make sure that you're not using all your shards. You gotta make sure you save a few, or one, to make sure you have other abilities available. So let's bust out my, don't even have it on the bar, Doom Guard. And then there is the dummy. So then you just get started. Get your dots up, Soul Harvest, and start draining life. You want to refresh your dots. Right now you see Corruption doesn't fall off, and Agony is now ticking up to 13, 14, right now 15. Unstable Affliction. At this point you would want to drop your Singularity, or your Effigy rather. But what'll happen, see, as I pop it, there it is, I put some dots on it and it disappears. Because the dummy doesn't have any health really, so it just goes away. I'm just wasting cooldowns on it. So you can't really see it in real life. We'll have to show you in later videos. So then you pop your soul, reaps, and you just keep going.